A little while back I saw this tweet about indie game device, stating quote, "It's better to be interesting than good, friends. I mean, be good as well, but be interesting." While I can see where they're coming from, it's obviously harder to sell a game that's a cheaper copy of something made by a more well-known studio with a higher budget. I respectfully disagree with uniqueness being more important than quality. No matter how interesting your game idea sounds on paper, if the execution is shit, it's shit. Introducing Paint Warfare, a game I consider to be the perfect analogy to it. Developed by Mini Official, Paint Warfare was released on the 2nd of December 2019 and is available on Steam for $4. It's a first-person paintball shooter, which if you ask me does sound pretty unique. But in the case of this game, it's also where the first problem surfaces. It doesn't look nor feel like you're playing paintball. In fact, if you take away the blue splatter, nothing in the game even remotely resembles it. The weapon models are just standard firearms, they don't look nor sound like paint guns, and I'm pretty sure they don't shoot 12-gauge slugs. Also, tanks? No? I can somewhat understand vehicles being there, although in my opinion none of the maps need any considering their small size, but the game doesn't even do that right. You don't have a key to interact with them. When you're close enough, you automatically enter them whether you like it or not. They're also bugged and really fragile, which is a blessing in disguise due to the atrocious sounds they make that doesn't stop once leaving the vehicle. And they're not alone. In fact, and I can't emphasize this enough, pretty much every sound in the game is a pain to hear, to the point where if something glitched out and made the game sound for a moment, it was the best time I had playing it, which still wasn't even decent. I'm honestly somewhat relieved that this game doesn't have a soundtrack. The animation is a joke on its own. Even if I'm going to pretend like the ragdolls aren't fucking hilarious, nothing in the game goes past serviceable, and most don't even make it that far. Weapons are snapping, at other times they're not. Reloads are, once again, out of sync with the sounds, and overall quite poorly made, alongside movement. Everything combined results in a very clunky mess that feels way too slow, and speaking of poorly made messes, the maps are awful, some even broken. There's 4 of them in total. Blizzard is a snowy map where you essentially play a game of Hardpoint. Factory is the smallest of the bunch with no vehicles, where you play Hardpoint. Tornado has a tornado, plays Hardpoint, and Wetlands has water and boats. Hardpoint. There's only one game mode and you're lucky if you even get to play that. The game's dead upon release to the point where in 5 days the only other person you could play with was the developer. The maps come with their own share of problems as well. Outside from all of them feeling quite randomly made, I noticed that in Factory there's clipping issues, resulting in me getting stuck inside walls and fences. There's quite a few bugs in general, biggest ones being able to see enemies' name tags through walls and the fully blurred vision once leaving the water at full health. Which reminds me that this game has a stupid mechanic which makes your vision blurrier the lower your health, permanently. While the game advertised itself to be low poly, the graphics just struck me as poor. Trust me when I say there's much better looking low poly games out there. There's this weird blur on your arms and weapons that removes close to all detail, and the options you have to play around with are very minimal. You don't have a FOV slider, you can't change your ADS sensitivity, and while it's an option, you can't disable sounds. It just doesn't work. It's actual torture! And the cherry on top, you can't change options in-game. You have to fully revert back to the main menu just to try out the new sensitivity. And speaking of the main menu, even that doesn't fully work. To navigate weapons, you have to click outside of the buttons. Paint Warfare left me feel ripped off even for the small price I paid, and I'm not hard to please. Beam Battles is my second most played game on Steam. I think it's cool to make and put out games to the public, even without them having to be good. But if you're going to advertise a game as something, at the very least put some effort into whatever it is you're advertising it as, or don't put them behind a paywall. Especially if the game's literally unplayable due to non-existing players, and worse than something you can play for free on Roblox.